Have you ever wished to be someone untouchable? Someone who doesn't break under pressure, who doesn't care about rejection, who walks through betrayal like it never happened. Maybe you've imagined a version of yourself, calm, in control, immune to pain. But if we're honest, behind the calm voice, behind the smile, there's a wound, still bleeding, quietly. You've been strong for too long. And now, you're tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of wearing armor that's heavy to carry. Tired of holding yourself together while falling apart on the inside. Carl Jung once said, "We are not what happens to us, but what we choose to become." But how do you become anything when all your energy is spent trying not to feel? We've been taught to resist pain, to silence it, escape it. But what if true strength doesn't come from resistance, but from recognition? What if your pain isn't the enemy, but your compass? And what if the only way to stop being hurt is to finally listen? Pain doesn't break you, it reveals you. Lean in. That's where life begins. Part 1. What hurts? You isn't outside, it's already inside. We spend most of our lives believing that what hurts us comes from the outside, from someone's words, from being left out, from not being seen, not being chosen, not being loved the way we hoped. But here's the uncomfortable truth. No one can truly hurt you unless there's already a wound inside. Carl Jung put it simply, the pain we feel is a reflection of what we haven't yet integrated within. It's not the words that break you. It's what those words touch. It's the echo they trigger, in the parts of you that still ache in silence. Think about it. Two people hear the same criticism. One shrugs it off. The other spirals into shame, anger, or self-doubt. Same moment, very different impact. Why? Because pain doesn't live in what's said. It lives in where it lands. Maybe someone called you not enough, and you shattered. Not because it's true, but because some part of you has believed that for years. It's not the knife that hurts, it's the old cut that never healed. We all carry emotional scar tissue, and when life presses on those bruises, we don't react to the present. We react to the past. This is why your biggest reactions often feel irrational. It's why small things feel massive. Why a glance, a silence, a tone of voice can send you spiraling. Not because of what's happening now, but because of what it reopens. And yet, we keep trying to fix the outside. We blame others. We change jobs, partners, routines, hoping it will finally stop the pain. But healing doesn't happen out there. It begins when you stop asking, "Why did they do this to me?" and start asking, "What inside me was waiting to be felt?" Maybe the pain doesn't come from the world. Maybe it comes from how we tried to protect ourselves from it. What once protected you may now be what's keeping you stuck. And control holds the keys. The answer lies deeper, in a place most people never dare to look. And that's where we're going next. The illusion that keeps us trapped. Control. Part 2. Control is an illusion that keeps you trapped. Most people don't realize it, but we spend our lives trying to earn immunity from pain. We tell ourselves, if I'm good enough, smart enough, calm enough, strong enough, then maybe, just maybe, no one will hurt me. We try to control how others see us, how they treat us, what they feel about us. And for a while, it seems to work, until it doesn't. Because the truth is this: control is an illusion. And the more you cling to it, the more fragile you become. The more you need everything to go according to plan, the more chaos destroys you. The more you depend on people acting a certain way, the more their unpredictability breaks you. In psychology, this is called the control fallacy. The false belief that if we just do everything right, we can avoid pain. But life doesn't work that way. People leave, words hurt, plans fall apart, and no amount of perfection can protect you from being human. Take relationships, for example. You might always be the one who listens, who gives, who never complains. You think, if I'm easy to love, no one will leave me. But deep down, it's not love you're giving. It's a trade for safety. Perfectionism becomes a strategy, not for growth, but for protection. And this is where the anxiety comes in, because life is unpredictable. And every time something falls outside your control, you panic. Not just because of what happened, but because your strategy failed. You weren't just hurt. You were unmasked. The problem isn't that you were vulnerable. It's that you were never prepared to be. And when that illusion shatters, what are we left with? A raw truth. Your real enemy isn't what happens. It's what's unseen inside you. Because as long as your peace depends on controlling the world, you'll always be one step away from collapse. But if you're willing to look deeper, you'll discover something more powerful than control. You'll discover consciousness. Because the real danger wasn't the chaos outside. It was the chaos inside you that you never met. You thought you were steering, but your wounds were driving. Let's meet the voice behind every decision you thought was yours. Part 3. The unconscious, the hidden force that shapes you. Carl Jung said it best, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Most people think they're making choices, but in truth, they're reacting. Reacting to emotions they don't understand, to patterns they never chose, to wounds they never healed. Your unconscious isn't just a vague mental fog, it's an active force, a deep archive of memories, emotions, traumas, and beliefs you've buried so deeply. You forgot they were ever there. But they didn't forget you. They guide you. They shape how you love, how you fight, how you run from pain, how you sabotage your own peace, without even realizing it. Think of the unconscious like a background operating system. It's always running. It auto-fills your responses. It auto-loads your defense mechanisms. It executes emotional programs written when you were 7, 12, 17, and you haven't updated them since. That's why a comment online can ruin your entire day. Because it didn't just hit your ego, it touched a story you've been carrying since childhood. I'm not good enough. I don't belong. I'm invisible. That's why you overreact to silence, rejection, disrespect. Not because of what happened now, but because your old programming said it's happening again. The unconscious speaks in emotions. And the more intense the emotion, the more ancient the wound. But instead of listening, we suppress. We scroll. We blame. We lash out. At others or ourselves. All because we're not seeing what's underneath. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to understand yourself. Because self-awareness isn't self-indulgence, it's survival. So if we can't escape the unconscious, what do? We face it. We bring light into it. And that begins with the masks we wear. Because you can't heal what you're still hiding behind. You can't face what you still fear revealing. And no mask is heavier than the one called strength. And that's where we're heading next, into the myth of strength, and why pretending to be unbreakable is what's breaking you. Part 4. Why pretending to be strong keeps you weak. You've heard it before. I don't care anymore. I'm used to it. Nothing gets to me. But the truth is, the more we pretend not to care, the more we silently suffer. We've confused emotional suppression with emotional strength. We've mistaken silence for self-control. But behind that coldness is a wound that hasn't been touched in years. Carl Jung warned us of this very trap. He said, "Know all the theories, master all the techniques, but when you touch a human soul, be just another human soul." But we don't want to be seen as human. We want to be unshakable. So we build walls, we shut down, we numb out, and the more we do it, the more alone we become. Even in rooms full of people. Some of the most together people you know. The high achievers, the perfectionists, the always smiling ones, are living in a state of high-functioning suffering. They look successful. They show up. They seem fine. But inside, they're on the edge, exhausted, disconnected, desperately hoping no one sees the truth behind the smile. Because being strong has become a performance, and performances are exhausting. Emotional numbness isn't resilience, it's fear, disguised as control. And if no one sees your pain, you start to believe it doesn't matter. You stop asking for help, you stop being real. And in that silence, you slowly disappear from yourself. But strength isn't pretending you don't feel. It's allowing yourself to feel fully without being owned by it. You don't need to be a fortress. You need to be honest. You've worn strength like armor. But what if true strength is actually what's underneath the armor? Resilience isn't coldness, it's clarity. And that's what we'll explore next. The shift from resisting pain to embracing it. Not as weakness, but as the beginning of power. Part 5. Real strength is integration, not avoidance. True strength doesn't come from pretending you have no wounds. It comes from embracing the ones you do, and choosing to live honestly with them. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming your whole self. Not the version others expect, not the version that looks good on the surface, but the version that includes everything: light and shadow, beauty and pain. Individuation is not perfection, it's wholeness. Most people think strength looks like flawless composure, but real strength is quiet. It's rooted. It doesn't shake every time the wind blows, because it knows what's buried beneath it. Think of a strong tree. Its beauty isn't just in the branches, it's in the roots. The parts underground, unseen, but essential. The deeper the roots, the stronger the tree. That's what shadow work is. You're not trimming leaves, you're growing roots. And the more you integrate your inner world, the less you're tossed around by the outer one. Integration means you're no longer at war with your flaws. You don't deny them, you don't indulge them, you own them. And this is where many get confused. Emotional strength isn't being neutral because you feel nothing. It's being present enough to choose how you respond instead of reacting out of habit or fear. Neutrality isn't numbness, it's awareness. When you're integrated, someone can insult you, and you don't flinch. Not because you don't care, but because you know who you are. There's nothing left to prove, no mask left to protect. You stop being a puppet to praise or criticism. You act from center, not from ego. But before you integrate, you must first stop running. Don't escape the fire. Let it speak. That's where healing begins. In the next section, we'll look at what pain really is. Not an enemy to fear, but a message you've ignored. And maybe the most sacred part of your growth is hidden inside the thing you've been running from the longest. Part 6. Pain is not the enemy. It's the messenger. From a young age, we're taught to avoid pain. Don't cry. Be strong. Get over it. But what if that's the lie that keeps us stuck? Carl Jung once said, "Depression is like a woman in black. If she appears, don't shoo her away. Invite her in, offer her a seat, and listen to what she has to say." Because pain isn't here to punish you. It's here to reveal you. Emotional pain is not just discomfort. It's data. It's your soul whispering, "Something inside needs your attention." But most of us don't listen. We distract. We numb ourselves with work, screens, self-improvement, or even kindness that's performative. We stay productive so we don't have to be present. Yet pain doesn't disappear. It buries itself deep into your nervous system, your habits, your tone of voice. And one day, a small trigger cracks the surface. A word, a look, a silence. And suddenly, you're flooded, not because of the present, but because of everything you never felt in the past. That breakdown isn't weakness. It's a backlog of pain finally demanding to be heard. You weren't overreacting. You were overflowing. Jung didn't see pain as a pathology. He saw it as a threshold, a gateway between who you were and who you're becoming. Pain forces questions that easy living avoids. What have I abandoned inside myself? What am I afraid to feel? What truth have I buried beneath "I'm fine"? Every transformation begins with discomfort. Birth, growth, awakening, healing. It all hurts, because it all asks you to change. But pain also purifies. It clears out illusions. It strips away the masks. And in that raw, silent space, you meet the most honest version of yourself. It's not pretty, it's not perfect, but it's real. And that's where freedom lives. Because once you listen, truly listen, to the message inside your pain, you stop fearing it. You stop running from yourself. Every wound holds a door. Every wound opens a door. And behind it is who you were meant to become. And that transformation has a name, individuation. And that becoming has a name. Jung called it individuation, a doorway, a becoming. Next, we don't run. We walk into the fire and rise as someone whole. Part 7. The path of individuation, beyond survival. There's a moment in every deep healing journey where something clicks. You can't go back. Back to pretending. Back to performing. Back to the version of yourself built just to survive. Carl Jung called the path forward individuation. Not becoming someone new, but becoming who you've always been. Beneath the conditioning, the persona, the masks. The persona, Jung said, is a mask for collective convenience. It's the version of you shaped to be liked, accepted, approved. But that version isn't made to carry your soul. It keeps you safe, yes, but it also keeps you small. Individuation means stepping into the unknown. It means letting go of who you thought you had to be. So who you truly are can emerge. It's not a gentle process. It's a shedding. You feel like you're losing your identity. Because you are. You lose the need for validation. You lose the craving for external approval. You lose the urge to explain your pain to those who were never meant to understand it. This is the dark night of the soul that mystics speak of. Not because it's evil, but because it's unlit. It's unfamiliar. It's where the ego dissolves and your essence awakens. And in that in-between, solitude is necessary, not to hide from the world, but to return to it with clarity. You might feel lonely, but this loneliness is sacred. It's not isolation, it's incubation. Think of the cocoon. The caterpillar doesn't grow wings by adding more. It dissolves. And through that surrender, something untouchable is born. That's what individuation feels like. You don't chase anymore. You don't flinch at rejection. You don't beg to be seen, because you see yourself. You stop reacting to life. You begin responding from center, not fear. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be whole. And once you've walked through that fire, the world can still shake. But you don't. You didn't outrun the storm. You became its calm. And in the final part of this journey, we'll explore what happens when you no longer fear the world. Because you've already made peace with yourself. When you're whole, nothing can hurt you. True invincibility isn't about being untouchable. It's about being unchangeable from the inside out. You don't become immune to pain by building thicker armor. You become immune when there's nowhere left inside you to be wounded. When you've looked at every part of yourself, even the broken, messy, hidden parts, and said, I see you. I accept you. I integrate you. Carl Jung said it clearly. What you resist persists. What you accept transforms. And that's the secret most people never discover. They spend their lives resisting pain, fighting discomfort, dodging truth, and wondering why nothing ever changes. But when you stop resisting, when you stop pushing pain away, you realize that nothing outside of you has real power, because you're no longer reacting, you're responding. You're rooted. Think of it like this. People who live on the surface get tossed by every wave, but those who live deep within themselves feel the currents, but they don't get thrown. This is emotional freedom, not the absence of feeling, but the ability to stay anchored even when you feel everything. So ask yourself now, are you done performing strength, or are you ready to become strong for real? Because once you're whole, nothing and nobody can truly hurt you again. If this video stirred something inside you, drop a comment below. I choose awareness. Let's build a movement of people who live from truth, not performance.